If you only had a few moments but wanted to know more about learning labs and learning pods, I'm recording this little snippet for you to take a look at. So here you'll see understanding your choice as a parent or guardian. There's three options that you can choose from: going back to school as usual, online or hybrid, homeschooling, or creating a learning pod or community lab. You can see the pros and cons here. And what I really recommend is that you think carefully about what makes the most sense for you and your child. More often than not, actually, let me change this to present. More often than not, we seem to think that we can only choose one option or two. And I say, there are plenty of options out there. And I really, really want parents to think about learning labs and learning pods and community labs. They're flexible, they provide peace of mind, they're less expensive than homeschooling. And the biggest drawback is that the organization and commitment from families. But I want to talk a little bit about how you can organize and how Onyx can help. So, learning labs and community pods are organized by family. They can be around a different affinity, they can be around a different theme. They're flexible to fit the schedules and the needs of your family. I've seen learning pods from 20 hours per week up to full days per week. One that I helped organize, they meet from 9 to 1. Monday through Thursday, and they do a rotation around folks' houses. And so there is a great deal of flexibility in that. If you only need 20 hours, or if you need somewhere for your child to be, for much longer, you can arrange that with your learning pod coordinator. The cost is, $200 to $400 per week. It really depends on what you want. One of the things that I thought was super important, that if you want to watch the longer video, you can, but if you don't have time, is to really think about, you need a tutor or a teacher who can support your child's academic learning within the pod. And you need a pod coordinator, someone who is going to be able to ensure that there is always someone there to support your children, that the Wi-Fi is working, that everything is going smoothly. Location can be flexed or fixed or flexible. The one learning pod that I was talking about, it actually rotates around homes because they're all in a neighborhood. If you're not sharing a neighborhood with someone, you can choose somewhere static. If one person has a giant basement that can accommodate 5 to 7 kids, take the giant basement. As you can see in the picture here, if someone has a great backyard, with tables and an umbrella, choose the great backyard. It depends on what the learning lab or community pod needs and what makes sense overall for all of the families involved. As you can see in this picture, I love this picture because all the kids are there. The kids who are online have their technology. There's a young girl who is doing hands-on work versus online work. That's what you need your tutor or teacher there, able to manage for you. So a good teacher, a good tutor can manage different kids at different grade levels doing different things. She can say, pause, we're all going to do an art lesson, we're all going to do a science experiment, we're going to go on a community walk, a nature walk, et cetera, but someone to kind of, I like to say, direct the train in different ways. This is a sample structure of a learning lab that I help create or conceive of creating. Over here, you can see the costs. You do have to pay a teacher or provider, but it can be very flexible if you're using a tutor, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't have to be up to $100 an hour, but I'm thinking about if you have a specialist, that is something to consider. One of the things that I think is really important is that you consider this to be flexible. You consider this to be sustainable over time. What does your child need? What do you need for your own mental health? And just know that Onyx can help. My name is Ayana Malone. I'm the Director of Training and Education at Onyx. Email us.